Breaking news is shaking the immigration world right now, and if you or someone you know has been waiting for an immigrant visa, you absolutely need to hear what is happening. The United States government has made announcements that are sending shockwaves through immigrant communities across the globe, and the implications could affect millions of families who have been patiently waiting, sometimes for years or even decades, to reunite with their loved ones on American soil. Before we dive deep into everything you need to know about this developing situation, I want to make sure you understand exactly what is at stake here. We are not talking about minor policy adjustments or routine administrative changes. We are talking about fundamental shifts in how the United States processes and approves immigrant visas, and the timeline for these changes is moving faster than many experts anticipated. Now, let me start by explaining exactly what has been happening and why this matters so much to so many people. The United States immigration system has always been complex, but recent actions taken by the administration have added layers of uncertainty that are causing genuine concern among immigration attorneys, advocacy groups, and most importantly, the families who are caught in the middle of all this. The immigrant visa system in America operates through a series of categories, each with its own rules, quotas, and processing times. Family-based immigrant visas allow United States citizens and lawful permanent residents to sponsor their relatives for green cards. Employment-based immigrant visas help American companies bring in skilled workers from around the world. And diversity visas, commonly known as the Green Card Lottery, provide opportunities for people from countries with historically low immigration rates to the United States. What we are seeing now are significant disruptions across multiple categories of immigrant visas, and the reasons behind these disruptions vary depending on which official statements you read and which sources you trust. But here is what we know for certain based on official government announcements and documented policy changes. The administration has been implementing what they describe as enhanced vetting procedures for immigrant visa applicants from numerous countries. These enhanced procedures require additional documentation, extended background checks, and in many cases, multiple interviews at United States consulates and embassies around the world. While officials maintain that these measures are necessary for national security purposes, the practical effect has been a dramatic slowdown in visa processing times. Some consulates have reported backlogs that stretch months or even years beyond their normal processing timelines. Applicants who were expecting to receive their visas within a matter of weeks are now being told to wait indefinitely while their cases undergo additional review. And in some instances, visas that had already been approved are being placed on administrative hold pending further investigation. This is where things get particularly concerning for people who have already invested significant time, money, and emotional energy into the immigration process. Imagine spending years gathering documents, paying thousands of dollars in fees, attending medical examinations, and preparing for interviews, only to be told at the last moment that your case has been suspended pending additional review. This is the reality that thousands of families are facing right now. Let me break down the specific visa categories that are being most heavily impacted by these changes. Family preference visas, which allow United States citizens to sponsor siblings, adult children, and other relatives, have seen some of the longest delays. These categories already had wait times measured in years or even decades for applicants from certain countries, and the new procedures have made those wait times even longer. Employment-based visas are also experiencing significant disruptions. Companies that rely on bringing in specialized talent from overseas are reporting difficulties getting visas approved for workers who have already received job offers and been through extensive hiring processes. This is affecting technology companies, healthcare organizations, research institutions, and many other sectors of the American economy. The Diversity Visa Program has faced particular uncertainty. This program, which distributes approximately 50,000 green cards each year through a random lottery system, has been targeted for elimination by various legislative proposals. While the program continues to operate for now, applicants have faced numerous administrative hurdles and delays in processing. Now, I want to address something that has been causing significant confusion among people trying to understand what is happening. There is a difference between official visa suspensions, which are formal policy actions announced by the government, and the practical suspensions that occur when processing times become so long that visas effectively cannot be obtained within reasonable timeframes. Both types of suspensions are affecting immigrant visa applicants right now. Certain countries have faced official restrictions or bans on immigrant visas, with these restrictions being justified on various grounds, including national security concerns, public health considerations, or diplomatic disputes. Other countries have not faced official bans, but have seen such dramatic increases in processing times and denial rates that obtaining a visa has become extremely difficult in practice. What should you do if you are currently in the immigrant visa process and are worried about how these changes might affect your case? This is perhaps the most important question we need to address, and I want to give you practical guidance that you can actually use. First, if you have a pending immigrant visa application, do not assume that your case has been suspended or affected. Check the official status of your case through the Consular Electronic Application Center, commonly known as CEAC, or through whatever portal your specific visa category uses for status updates. Many people panic when they hear news about visa suspensions without actually checking whether their individual case has been impacted. Second, make sure all your documentation is current and complete. One of the most common reasons for visa delays and denials is incomplete or outdated documentation. Review your case file and ensure that all supporting documents, including civil documents, financial records, and medical examinations, are valid and have not expired. Some documents have expiration dates, and if your processing time has been extended, you may need to obtain updated versions. Third, consider consulting with a qualified immigration attorney if you have not already done so. The immigration landscape is changing rapidly, and having professional guidance can help you navigate these changes more effectively. An experienced attorney can review your specific case, identify potential issues before they become problems, and advise you on the best strategies for moving forward. Fourth, stay informed, but be careful about your sources of information. There is an enormous amount of misinformation circulating about immigration policies right now. Some of this misinformation is spread by people who genuinely misunderstand what is happening. Some of it is spread by scammers trying to take advantage of frightened immigrants. And some of it is spread for political purposes without regard for accuracy. The most reliable sources of information about United States immigration policy are official government websites, including the Department of State, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, and the Department of Homeland Security. These agencies publish official announcements, policy changes, and processing time estimates that you can rely on for accurate information. Now let me discuss something that many people find uncomfortable but is absolutely essential to understand. The immigrant visa system in the United States has always involved a degree of uncertainty. Even in the best of times, visa applications can be denied for reasons that applicants find difficult to understand or challenge. The government has broad discretion in deciding who to admit to the country, and that discretion has been exercised more aggressively in recent years. This means that even if you have done everything right, even if your documentation is perfect, even if you have waited patiently for years, there is no guarantee that your visa will ultimately be approved. This is a difficult reality to accept, but it is important to understand it so you can make informed decisions about your future. Some families are choosing to explore alternative immigration pathways in light of the current uncertainty. This might mean investigating whether there are other visa categories for which they might qualify, considering temporary visa options that could allow for eventual adjustment of status, or in some cases, exploring immigration opportunities in other countries. Other families are choosing to stay the course and wait for their immigrant visa applications to be processed, betting that the current delays and restrictions are temporary and that conditions will eventually improve. There is no single right answer here because every family's situation is different. What I can tell you is that making major life decisions based on panic or fear is rarely wise. Take the time to understand your specific situation, gather accurate information, consult with professionals if possible, and then make a decision that is right for your family based on your particular circumstances and priorities. Let me now address some of the common questions that people are asking about the current immigrant visa situation. One question I hear frequently is whether visas that have already been approved can be revoked. The answer is yes. Under certain circumstances, previously approved visas can be revoked or canceled. This can happen if the government discovers that the applicant provided false information, if the applicant's circumstances have changed in ways that would affect their eligibility, or in some cases based on policy changes that affect entire categories of visas. Another common question is whether people who are already in the United States on immigrant visas or green cards need to worry about their status. Generally speaking, lawful permanent residents who already hold green cards have more protections than applicants who are still waiting for their visas to be approved. However, green card holders are not immune from immigration enforcement, and there are circumstances under which lawful permanent resident status can be revoked. People also ask whether they should accelerate their travel plans to enter the United States before potential new restrictions take effect. This is a complicated question that depends on many factors, including the specific visa category, the applicant's country of origin, and current processing timelines. In some cases, expediting travel may be advisable. In other cases, it may not be possible or may create additional complications. The key point I want to emphasize is that every case is different, and general advice can only take you so far. If you have specific questions about your specific situation, you really need to consult with someone who can review the details of your case and provide personalized guidance. Now let me talk about the broader context of what is happening with immigrant visas in the United States. Immigration policy has become one of the most contentious political issues in America, and the debate over immigration shows no signs of calming down anytime soon. Different political factions have very different visions for what the American immigration system should look like, and these differences are reflected in the policy changes we are seeing. Some people believe that the United States should significantly reduce legal immigration and tighten restrictions on who is allowed to enter the country. They argue that high levels of immigration put downward pressure on wages for American workers, strain public resources, and change the cultural character of the nation in ways they find concerning. Other people believe that immigration is fundamentally beneficial to the United States and that restrictions should be loosened rather than tightened. They point to the economic contributions of immigrants, the enrichment that cultural diversity brings to American society, and the moral obligation to welcome people seeking better lives. These debates have real consequences for the millions of people whose lives are affected by immigration policy decisions. When political winds shift in one direction or another, immigrant families feel the effects in very concrete ways. Visas that were once readily available become harder to obtain. Processing times that were once measured in months stretch into years, and uncertainty becomes a constant companion for anyone trying to navigate the immigration system. What we are seeing right now is the result of a particular political moment in American history, but it is important to understand that immigration policy can and does change. The restrictions that exist today may be loosened tomorrow, or they may be tightened further. The only thing that is certain is that uncertainty itself is likely to continue for the foreseeable future. For people who are directly affected by the current immigrant visa situation, this uncertainty can be emotionally exhausting. Many families have been living in limbo for years, unsure whether they will ever be reunited with loved ones who are waiting overseas. The stress of this uncertainty takes a real toll on mental health, relationships, and overall well-being. If you are experiencing this kind of stress, please know that you are not alone. There are support groups, community organizations, and mental health resources available for people who are struggling with immigration-related anxiety. Reaching out for support is not a sign of weakness, but a healthy response to a genuinely difficult situation. As we wrap up this discussion, I want to leave you with some final thoughts about how to approach the current immigrant visa landscape. First, stay informed, but do not let yourself be paralyzed by fear. The situation is serious, but it is not hopeless. Many visas are still being approved, many families are still being reunited, and the immigration system, however imperfect, continues to function. Second, take practical steps to protect your case. Keep your documentation current, respond promptly to any requests from immigration authorities, and maintain accurate records of all your communications with government agencies. These basic steps can help prevent unnecessary delays and complications. Third, build a support network. Connect with others who are going through similar experiences, whether through online communities, local immigrant advocacy organizations, or informal networks of friends and family. Sharing information and emotional support can make a real difference during difficult times. Fourth, consider the long term. Immigration policy changes over time, and the restrictions that exist today may not exist 5 or 10 years from now. If your current plans are disrupted by policy changes, try to think creatively about alternative pathways and timelines that might still allow you to achieve your goals eventually. And finally, remember that your worth as a person is not determined by your immigration status. Whatever happens with your visa application, you are a valuable human being with inherent dignity and rights. The immigration system may treat you as a case number, but you are so much more than that. The situation with immigrant visas in the United States is serious and evolving rapidly. I encourage you to stay engaged with this issue, to stay informed through reliable sources, and to take whatever steps you can to protect yourself and your family. And if you found this information helpful, please share it with others who might benefit from understanding what is happening with immigrant visas in America right now. The coming months are likely to bring additional changes and announcements that will affect immigrant visa applicants. New policies may be implemented, court cases may alter the legal landscape, and political developments may shift the direction of immigration policy in ways that are difficult to predict today. What we can predict is that immigration will remain a central issue in American public life, and that the decisions made by policymakers will continue to have profound effects on millions of families around the world who dream of making the United States their home. For now, the best thing you can do is arm yourself with accurate information, take practical steps to protect your interests, and maintain hope even in the face of uncertainty. The American immigration story is far from over, and your chapter in that story is still being written. Thank you for watching, and please take care of yourselves and your families during these challenging times.